Somewhere alive right now, there could be a person who will still be alive in the year 2226. That's not science fiction. It's the direct implication of one question. What if the human body simply stopped aging the way it does, and people routinely lived to 200? Here's the premise, kept honest. We're not talking about better healthcare adding a few extra years. The way life expectancy has already climbed over the last century. We're imagining a genuine biological shift, aging itself slowing down. So 200 years becomes a normal lifespan, the way 80 is normal today. Nothing else about biology changes. No immortality, no invincibility, just a much longer, much slower aging curve. Start with the number because the number is staggering. A person born today has roughly an 80-year window to finish school, build a career, raise a family, and retire. Stretch that to 200 years, and suddenly a single human lifetime could span what used to take 2.5 generations. Someone born the year electricity first reached most homes could, in this scenario, still be alive today, watching whatever comes after smartphones. That's not a longer life. That's a fundamentally different relationship with time itself. The most immediate pressure point is population. Right now, global population growth already runs on a rough balance. People are born, people eventually die, and the number of humans on Earth rises or stabilizes based on that turnover. Stretch lifespan to 200 years without slowing birth rates, and that turnover breaks. Bodies stop leaving the population anywhere near as often, but new ones keep arriving. Over just a few generations, that imbalance compounds into billions of extra people. The planet's food, water, and housing systems were never built to support, unless birth rates fall sharply to compensate, which itself reshapes family structure in ways societies haven't had to plan for at this scale before. Then there's work and money, which quietly assume an 80-year lifespan in almost every system built around them. Retirement at 65 was designed for people who might live another decade or two afterward, not another 135 years. Pension systems, retirement savings, even the basic idea of a single career followed by rest would need a complete redesign. Multiply your working years by 2.5, and either people work for 150 years, or society has to invent an entirely new phase of life nobody has ever had to plan for before. Decades of neither working nor aging out. Marriage and family follow the same math. A relationship that lasts 50 years today would be barely a quarter of a 200-year lifespan. Would people expect one partner for 2 centuries? Or would serial, decades-long relationships become the norm? Multiple careers, several distinct families, entire lives lived in sequence rather than one continuous arc. The social contracts built around "till death do us part" assume death arrives on a familiar schedule. Power and leadership raise a sharper problem. Political terms, company leadership, even generational cultural shifts all rely on people eventually stepping aside, sometimes voluntarily, sometimes simply because they age out. A CEO or a head of state who could plausibly remain sharp and active for 150 productive years changes the entire rhythm of institutional turnover that democracies and economies have quietly depended on for as long as either has existed. It's worth grounding this in real biology for a moment, because the premise isn't pure fantasy. Aging researchers already study specific, measurable mechanisms behind why bodies wear out: the shortening of telomeres, the protective caps on our DNA that fray a little with each cell division, the buildup of senescent cells, old cells that stop dividing but linger and cause low-grade inflammation instead of clearing out, and declining efficiency in how cells repair everyday genetic damage. None of these processes are, in principle, unchangeable laws of physics. They are biological mechanisms, and mechanisms can sometimes be slowed. Species like the Greenland shark, which can live past 400 years, and certain tortoises that outlive multiple human generations, prove that biology doesn't strictly require an 80-year ceiling. A 200-year human lifespan would mean pushing those same repair and maintenance mechanisms roughly 2.5 times further than they currently run. a massive engineering challenge, but not a violation of anything biology forbids outright. There's an ecological angle too, easy to miss. Longer-lived individuals in any species tend to reproduce more slowly and invest more heavily per offspring. That's a real pattern seen across nature, from tortoises to whales. A slower-aging humanity might naturally trend toward fewer, more spaced-out births even without external pressure, partially offsetting the population strain, though almost certainly not fast enough to offset 2 centuries of overlapping generations all at once. And there's a psychological dimension that's easy to underestimate. Human memory, identity, and motivation evolved around a roughly 80-year arc. Urgency, mortality, the sense that time is finite, shapes everything from ambition to art to how people prioritize what matters. Stretch that arc to 200 years, and the entire emotional architecture of urgency might soften for better or worse. More patience, potentially, but also a different, unfamiliar relationship with what it means to run out of time at all. Put the pieces together and a real pattern emerges. This isn't simply the same life, just longer. Nearly every system built around the human lifespan, economics, family, politics, ecology, even identity itself, was quietly calibrated to an 80-year clock, whether anyone designed it that way on purpose or not. Change the clock, and every system built on top of it needs re-architecting, not just extending, which is really the deeper point of this thought experiment. We think of aging as a personal, biological fact, separate from the structures of civilization. But so much of how society actually works, retirement, marriage, leadership, even how fast culture itself turns over, silently assumes a lifespan nobody chose and nobody designed. Double or triple that number, and you don't just get more years. You get a fundamentally different civilization, built from scratch around a question nobody has ever had to answer before. What do you do with 200 years when every institution around you still expects 80?